Okay, this is part two, and before we even explore this, let's go and dive back into part one just momentarily. I want to show you guys that inside this progress folder, I left a JPEG. Just kind of just really quickly outlines what we did in that last part. Mostly so that if you open up this tutorial months from now and just want a little quick refresher on what was done in the last hour, this JPEG pretty much just sums it all up. So maybe if you've discovered this before the lesson started, that would have given you a little bit of help, but it's okay. You know, if it helps you prior to doing it, it helps you. If not, don't worry about it. You had me coaching you throughout. But a main thing to point out, I guess, is just that the in-betweens are these saturated images, or I should say, I guess, less saturated, and the key poses are the full color ones here. So, and of course, it's just going from frame 1 to 16, and then the loop would go back to 1 again. But actually, keep in mind that that those 16 frames right here, where we had key pose at 1, 5, 9, and 13, because we're going to be doing something similar in our next project, which is actually going to be this girl walking through here. And I know that doesn't seem too exciting because it's a pretty simplistic animation, but we're going to take a totally different approach. And so that'll probably be about the first half of this part two. The last part will be just doing a runner. And what I want to do actually is instead of trying to verbally describe how this file will end up, what I'm going to do is slide into view my finished version, as I was just kind of practicing prior to the lesson. And it's just going to be easier to show you guys how this is set up. You'll notice that there aren't a bunch of frames on the main timeline here, and that's not because I've taken all the keyframes and encapsulated them into one symbol. What's going on here is every single one of these symbols just about has well, obviously it has a timeline of its own. All symbols do, but inside of here are the animations, the motion tweens for this girl bobbing along, skipping through. And you'll see that even inside of some of these other symbols, we have more animation, okay? But for the most part, each one of these symbols is only going to frame 16, and then it's going to loop back again. Remember that number 16, that's what we used before. And you can even see that I have a lot of, I have the key poses here on frame 5, 9, 13, so I'm using that same kind of number scheme. So why do this? Why? Well, you can make some different effects, because even though most things are at looping back after frame 16, some things aren't. For example, let me double click inside of this hair. Okay, and if I were to double click one more time, you will see that inside of here I actually have a shape tween. It's not too fancy. I could have made this go a lot further out this way, but it's kind of changing shape through all the way through here onto frame 25. And what that's going to do is it's going to offset the overall loop of the entire animation. So if we were to view her walking along, maybe we wouldn't even really consciously see it, but I guess subconsciously we would kind of see that, oh, you know what, it's not the same 16 frames over and over again, because after, you know, multiple loops of it, well, maybe this pose right here isn't necessarily occurring at the 14th frame, okay? Eventually it'll, because it's kind of like I don't know. Think of it as a record skipping in a different place every time. So anyway, that'll probably confuse you more. But you can kind of see how this is getting set up, and you know, everything's got its own little thing going on here. So let's do this. Let's wipe that from our memory, and let's pretend we're starting at well, frame 1. Here we are. We have this little girl here, and what we're going to do is set her up to do exactly what I just showed you. First thing, go and combine together some of these symbols. And actually, there's not too many we need to do. I think it's mostly just this hand and arm that we should bring together. So go to convert to symbol. We'll call this hand and arm. Boom, done. All right, now that is one symbol in the library. Let's do this though. Let's select it one more time and then go to convert to symbol. This time what we'll do is we'll call it hand and arm animated. Okay, makes sense. Now, double click inside of here. Take the free transform tool and adjust the pivot points. We're going to put it right there. And I think we could actually probably get away with just taking this same arm, and we'll delete this one off. Copy it, and then paste it, and also flip it horizontally. So we'll put that over there. You might have to, actually, you'll definitely have to go through, let's see, we'll try send backward. I have a hotkey for doing that, so I'm going to do it a few times here. You might have to do it as many times as you need it to get it behind the body, but not behind the hair back here, okay? And as for the legs, what we're going to do is combine these together into one symbol, so let's go ahead and do that now. We'll call this legs animated. Right. And again, send to back. Okay. Other things. I guess I already have the mouth and eyes combined together. And let's see, the hair. All right. What we're gonna do is let's convert this to a symbol. We'll call this top hair animated. And let's also do the same thing for her, the back of her hair. So we'll call this convert to symbol, back hair animated. All right, and again, gotta send it to back. And I think we're probably going to be set up pretty good. We better do the same thing for a dress. So convert to symbol one more time. Girl dress animated. All right. Okay. Now I think we should be about ready. So let's begin. Where should we start here? Let's go for maybe the dress. So we'll double click inside of here, and it looks like the pivot point is already up here at the top. That's probably pretty good because we'll just have our dress kind of bobbing up, down like that. So let's go and lay out 16 frames to work with. So get out to this point, hit insert frame. Your timeline marker will butt up right against that. That's a good sign. You don't want any more frames in that. Even one more frame in here could throw off kind of the whole loop of this, because there are definitely those certain things that we only want to loop through 16 frames. Okay, otherwise it'll look kind of goofy. So let's do this. Let's go and put a keyframe right here. So hit F6, and then what I want you to do is go to frame 5. Put a keyframe there. Put one at frame 9 and at frame 13. Run your mouse all through here. Select them all. So just click, drag down, and just go to motion. If you want, you could even add in a little easing. I don't think we've talked about that too much yet, but that means that the animation will slow down toward this keyframe here based on its appearance here. Okay, so let me just make it happen first. What I'm going to do is take the free transform tool, and I'm just going to squash this up a little bit here and just squish it out, or squash it that direction there. So the more dramatic movement is going to be at frame 2, then slightly less dramatic at frame 3, even less at frame 4, then the least movement is going to be between frame 4 and 5. So that's what it means to ease it out of its initial position right here. So it's a nice little effect. I think if you're going to be motion tweening things, it's generally going to be a better looking effect to either ease it in or out, one way or the other. All right, so same thing over here. Let's just going to go back down. So we already have that in place. What I think would be a good idea, though, is just bring it down a little bit more and then squish it like that. All right, this will come back up again. Because remember, what we're doing is we're going to be kind of following that same pattern before, where the legs are in their extreme position here. Okay, well, let's say frame 1. All right, they're in that extreme position, and then at frame 5, they're going to be closest together. The leg will be weight will be on 1, I guess, and then back down again, back up, then on back down. All right, and one thing to avoid is having 2 frames look identical to each other. All right, so right now frame 1 and frame 15 are identical. So let's do this. Let's go and just alter frame 15 a little bit. All right, so there she goes. Bum, 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 bum. In fact, you know, we could probably make this a little bit more dramatic. Let's see. Something like that. And yes, frame 5 could match frame 13, but again, if we want to kind of avoid seeing too much of a loop, it's best to make them a little bit different. And you know, you could even do something like this where you copy all these frames and then paste them out here, as long as it's a variable of 16. Okay, so 32, that would work. But let's keep it simple. And well, if you did that, you'd want to change a few of the other ones throughout. But anyway, all right, we have that in there. Let's go and let's work on these legs. We're going to double click inside of here. Let's go ahead and give ourselves 15 or 16 frames to work with. And you know what? I'm going to go through this. I don't want to do crazy leg positions on here, because this whole kind of first part is mostly about the kind of peripheral animation. Not so much the leg movements. I think we've done enough of that in the last lesson. So let's do this. We're going to go through here really quick. Well, first, actually, let's separate these two onto different layers. So to select them both, just go to distribute to layers. That's almost getting cut off. I can see that. But all right, so 2 layers here. We can delete off this one. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and put a keyframe out here. We know we got to kind of get back to this same frame. And over here on frame 5, let's do this. Let's go and just put this leg right here. Alright, so I'm just kind of skewing it like that. As for this leg, what we're going to do is skew it forward and lift it up, okay, because that is the one that is moving forward. Alright. And you know what we could do? We could go ahead and just put in some motion tweens throughout here. That'll be good, because then future keyframes will already have that motion tween property in them. All right. And this is actually kind of a 3/4 walk cycle, because I'm having her leg kind of move back that direction and then forward again. So just something to note. Just so you know, I'm intentionally not making it slide on a straight line. Okay, so over here now, let's see. Actually, maybe that wasn't a good idea, because all these frames are kind of slowly trying to get back to this one position. Let's take that off. All right, so at frame 9, this one will be this leg now hitting the ground, and this leg back here will be back. So let's go and first do that. Can even move it a little bit back that way. And then this frame, all right, let's put the motion tween in. See how this is looking. Spectacular. Trust me, this doesn't look as bad as it seems like it's turned out. And then let's do this. Frame 13. This time, of course, this leg will be the one that's coming up to move forward. And most of this animation is it's not being seen anyway, because her dress is in the way. Alright, so that leg is now the one that's kind of moving back again. And let's see. Let's go ahead and put in motion tween. And let's see, what you could do here is probably move these out to frame 17, and then put a keyframe right here. Okay, again at 16, and then just delete these off. That's an easy way to make sure you don't have the two the same. All right, so let's see if I were to just run through this. Yeah, it's looking fine. It's not, it's not too bad. If you want to loop playback in the timeline like this in the preview. Okay, and I can see that'll work. Okay. All right, so let's hop back up here, and I guess if you want to test this out, we can see how the two are working together. It's pretty good. You know what, actually I said I wasn't going to do this, but I will save this out as a progress file. Let's do this. Let's go and save this as girl progress 1. Okay, so what I just did is now saved as progress 1, so you guys can take a look at that real quick, see how it's coming out, and then progress 2 will be actually what I'm working on now. Just okay, so here we go. We just did the legs and the skirt, and you know what I want to do actually is bump up the frame rate to 30. I meant for this to actually be set up like that in the beginning. Just so it's a little speedier, almost like a little cranked up, so it's like a little fast walking girl, and I think that'll look a little bit better. Anyway, a little smoother. All right, so let's really quickly go and do the arms, and what I'm going to do again is put a keyframe out here at frame 16. Let's do one. Actually, this time though, we can get away with just put a keyframe here at frame 9. And we'll swing this arm all the way forward. In fact, let's move it back to frame 8. And then at frame 9, we're going to put another keyframe. And what I'm going to do is flip this arm vertically. All right. And then I'm going to put a keyframe right here. I'm going to send this arm all the way back like that. So it's bump, bump. And I know that looks kind of silly, but just take a look at actually what it's doing. I think it's going to look kind of cool. And then it's going to flip back like that. And in fact, actually, I should take this and just drag it in place of that one, because remember, we don't want any frames to be the same. Okay, that's done, and this one is also done. And because we flip these horizontally to each other, now when if I were to publish it, you would see that they are swinging independently. And this thing's moving by pretty quick, so probably no one's going to even notice, you know, if these legs are really swinging conversely to each other. But, you know, actually they should be, because this leg is the one that's forward right now. Of course, too, we also do have 2 legs that are colored identical to each other, this pure black, so probably visually you're going to lose track of which leg is actually the one in the forefront anyway. Alright, so that's taken care of. I guess, though, the only thing that we might need to adjust, now that I think about it, let's double-click back inside here one more time. She is kind of bobbing up and down, so what we might need to do is put a keyframe right here and move her arm up that way, and then do the same thing right there, because remember, those are our up positions. So you can see now, if I were to, let me scrub through a little bit slower, so the arm goes up a little bit there. I know right now it seems like it's going up into her head, but keep in mind too that as we go through this animation, the head will be bobbing up and down as well. And I guess actually that's the next thing we can go ahead and work on. I did mean to do one thing earlier, though, is select the head and the eyes together in here. So let's go ahead and do that. Select both, go to convert to symbol. We'll call this head and, I guess it's head and face. Okay. Again, send it to back if need be. Double click inside of here now, and let's go and do this. We're going to distribute to layers, so they're on separate layers. Let's go and give ourselves 15 frames, or 16 I should say. Insert. And let's go and put 2 keyframes right here. Motion tween, oops. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to move this up some, probably to about right here. And on this frame, I'm going to move it up a little bit more, so you can see that if I were to scrub through it, hopefully it'll give the impression that almost like the whole head is raising up a little bit. I could even squash this some, like so. And that too should give the impression that it's almost, these 2 things are moving independently of each other. A little bit of a different setup than I actually had in my test version. Alright, so what we'll do here is actually we can copy these frames, paste them. Sometimes when you paste, it gives these 2 frames afterwards. I haven't totally figured out why it does that, or why it logically would do that. It's more what I'm saying. I know it does it. Alright, so this time what I'm going to do is squish her face a little bit down here and lower it a bit. So again, so just so it's not totally matching the same frame, but it is her head's down position again. Okay, so hit up the motion, boom, boom, and then let's go. I guess we can just copy these two frames again. You know, try this though too. You could control drag these or option drag on the Mac, and that'll give you better results. All right, this time let's lower it just a tad bit. And again, I'm just going to control drag or copy drag these frames out this way. They are at frame 17. What I want to do is just put a keyframe right here. So hit F6 and then delete out these other ones. We have one layer we don't really need, so we'll get rid of that too. All right, so bobbing up and down, looks like a little egg, doesn't it? And I know it's kind of hard to see in the screen capture zone, but it was looking pretty good. So you know what? I do want you guys to look at that, actually, how it's coming out so far. So what I'm going to do is save this out now as a third progress file, and what you can do is you can just take a preview look at progress 2. Okay, everybody agree it's looking kind of cool? What I'm going to do is double click inside of here again, and again I'm going to, actually no, not again. Now what I'm going to do is double click inside of the mouth and eyes symbol, alright, and I'm going to dive further into our little symbol hierarchy into just the mouth symbol, alright, and again now I'm going to give myself 16 frames to work with, and right here what I'm going to do is put a keyframe at frame 5, frame 9, frame 13, and go ahead and put one more right there. This time, I'm going to do shape tweens. So select all those frames over there, pull this down. Right below motion is shape, and what we can do is actually take this line, let me zoom in a little bit, and just move it like that. Okay, so I'm just arcing it a little bit differently than it was before. Do the same thing over here. Alright, and you can see that the shape tween is changing the shape of it. Now, if I were to publish this, it should further give me the feeling, I know it's kind of hard to see, but that the head is moving up and down like that. Alright, so you see how that's going to work out? So if I were to go back over here, even though you can't see it in the development environment, when this is published out at frame 5, the shape of that mouth is going straight across like that. Okay. Another little trick we can do along those lines is inside of the girl eye symbols right here. What I could do is give myself a few more frames to work with. This time though, I'll put, let's say, 70 frames out this way, alright? And at frame, we'll do 65. I'm going to put a keyframe. And rarely, let's see, there we go. Alright, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. At this frame, I'm going to delete the eyes off, okay? And then I'm going to grab the line tool, and then just put a line right there, and right there. So it should look like she blinks. Let's adjust this a little bit. Okay, now just going to be the nature of things that, I know it seems kind of wacky, but this timeline is independent, so we are going to be able to see these eyes blink when we publish. And just to prove it, let's go ahead and publish, make sure it is working. There it goes. Hopefully captured that, but she did blink out there. Alright, so is that making sense now? That's the beauty of using these movie clips. Now, this is kind of a digression, but the not so cool thing is that if I were to export this out as a movie, as a QuickTime, these movie clips wouldn't get rendered. Okay, so there's kind of a catch-22 to this whole thing. That as nice as this is, exporting it for, let's say, DVD purposes with these movie clips in here, that's not going to be too good. What we'd have to do is kind of do this whole thing over as instead of movie clips, use graphic clips, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But let me just go ahead and tell you this: the solution is, I think the best thing to do, just go ahead and get onto Google, in quotes, type flash to video, and there's a lot of companies out there that actually have third-party tools for capturing the SWF and recording that for video purposes. Okay, so if you have set up your animation with lots of movie clips, it's not a lost cause. Plenty of people do that, and then they just record the SWF. Okay, but that's down the road. We are just doing animation here. So, we're getting close to actually being done with this goofy little thing. Let's go ahead and let's do a similar trick with the hair. First thing we'll do is just double click inside of here. Let's go and let's do this. We'll put 16 frames out here. Put a keyframe here, 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 and here. Actually, we'll do it here. Do motion tweens. And we'll make this go up. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, this isn't something I did before. Maybe the hair should go down because her head is like seemingly raising up, so that would push the back of her hair down. That might have thrown me off before. Maybe that's what it was. Huh. We'll try it out. All right, so this frame, push this up. We could even rotate it a little bit. Hair can kind of do its own thing. So go down, up. This one, let's make it go down again. Back up. Put a keyframe right here, and then we'll delete out the next one. Let's just see how this looks. I feel like if we're going to have it rotated at all, see how it's rotating out that way a little bit. Let's go ahead and do the opposite rotation, at least at some point. It's a little counter swing. And then back down again, and let me just see how that looks. Okay, that's kind of cool. Should look alright with the top of her hair moving. But as I showed you guys in my example version, was we also want to do a little shape tween to the hair itself. So let's double click inside of here, and this time what we can do is put a lot more frames out this way. By the way, F5 will insert frames like that. And let's put, let's see, a keyframe right here, so F6. Let's put one, oh, maybe here. Doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to mess up her hair a little bit. The one thing I don't want to mess up too bad, though, is this juncture point. Okay, so I don't want to alter that because that's got to stay connected to this top part of the hair. Just want to mess around and stuff down here. Let's go ahead and see how it's looking. Shape tweens can go a little crazy on you. For example, why is this line coming across right here? That is a mystery to me because it's not here. It's not here, but for some reason the player decides to put one in there. It's just the nature of the game. Can't do much about it. But know that could happen. And it's not a big deal because that's all stuff that's behind her anyway. We will do a similar trick with this up here on the top of the hair. And at least the last time I did it, a little line appeared over there. And I'll show you guys how to work around it. I find that's, you know, if you have a problem, there's always a workaround. It's always something you can do to just maybe not always solve the problem, but work around it. Okay, and of course we want the final position to be back at over here. So you can see it's kind of, hair is just kind of waving around. I'm going to publish this. I know that doesn't do you guys much good, but at least I can see how it's coming along. I think for this I might even extend this out a bit more. So I'm just selecting a bunch of frames in between here, hitting F5, and then I'll push out the whole time of it. I'm going to actually pull this up just a bit. Probably I shouldn't have been changing the mass of it too much, which was kind of what was happening when I was pulling it down like that. I should just leave the bobbing up and down to that to this symbol right here. Okay, it's probably fine. It's almost hard to even see, but whatever. Alright, so get back over here and so yeah, let's jump inside of here. First thing we will do is the same thing we've been doing before. You know what? Actually, what I want to take note of before I do this is how far up I'm raising her head, because I don't want her hair to detach too much. All right, so I'm just trying to eyeball. Let's see, between here and here, maybe 10 pixels or so. Let's see. Okay, the only thing it's detached. Well, no, it is detaching from her head a little bit. All right, so I gotta make sure that doesn't happen. Let's see. It still is a little bit. I don't know. What did I do wrong? Oh, that's the problem. See? I had this out at frame 17. Okay, that was the problem. Alright, so you got to keep them locked in there. Alright, that's good. There is a little bit of, it's coming off a little bit on that outer edge, but I think that's just because, I don't know. I can just fix that here. Make that come down. Okay, so now let's actually go about shape tweening this part of the hair, and that should come close to finishing things off. And again, shape tweening, just the nature of it, can be crazy. So we want to just, I don't know, take it easy on the Flash player. It's got to, figure out, oh, well, this shape has got to go from this point to this point. And one thing you can do before you even begin is just select your whatever your shape is, and then go over here to, where is this again? Optimize. I don't use this too often, but click OK on it. What it will do is tell you that well, the original shape had 15 curves and the optimized shape has 15. Well, that's a good sign, because that means that that Flash doesn't think that I have any shapes or curves in there that could be reduced. Okay, so like things that are just like kind of overlapping, or points that are so close to another that they could be merged together. And this is kind of rare that you'll ever that it says, hey man, 0% reduction, but I just kind of made a simple shape, and I was very careful when I created it not to do anything that I thought was unnecessary, because obviously foresaw that I was going to teach this and there could be problems. But when you are creating your things, yeah, there's probably going to be a little bit of a reduction, and that's good. If it can make the shape any simpler before you begin shape tweening, you're going to be at an advantage. So let's go and do this. Let's go and hit F6 right here at frame 5. Let's jump a little bit closer here, and I just want to make her head bob, or hair bob, I guess, backward as she's, or upwards. So I'm just going to be very careful about what I do. I don't want to do anything too dramatic, all right? And it's always a good idea to put that shape tween in there as you're working, so you can just kind of test back and forth. Now, like I told you before, see that line that's just magically appearing in there, we will deal with that, but for right now, we're just going to ignore it. Okay, so again, baby step through here, because you never know what little move that you're going to make could decide, well, wait, that point needs to merge with that one, and then just do something crazy. The main thing is, though, is if you can get it working, it's really, you can really add a lot. Okay. Maybe a little bit more over here. I'd say generally one thing you don't want to do is add any points to the other frame. Alright, so try to do something like that. When you get done, when you get something you like, create another layer and then put a blank keyframe out here. That's just F7 or insert blank keyframe, so it's ready for some artwork to be pasted in there. What I'm going to do is select this whole stroke right here, just double click on it, cut it off, and then paste it. Oops, paste it in place right there. We're going to do the same thing for this stuff. Paste it in place, and then shape tween that. And what we should get is a nice clean shape tween. It's no longer trying to merge, you know, for unknown reasons in the middle. And then what we're going to do is just copy these frames. We'll put them at frame 9. And then we'll just do the same thing. Frame 13. Is that frame 13? Yeah, it is. Let's do easing out on these. I think they'll look good. And then, of course, we'll copy these frames out here too. Frame 17, and then at frame 16 we will put keyframes, F6, and then just delete off that part. Again, we want this to be a perfect loop, and let's see how it looks. Actually, what I'm going to do is have this saved out as a progress 3 for you. So preview this one right here when you take a look at this. Okay, I think for those of you that just watched that, you probably noticed the same thing I did, which is there's a little bit of adjustment that we need to do with the hair. I think I might have been wrong before about making her hair dip downward on these, on the 5s and the 13s. So what I'm going to do is just scale it upward right here. This will in some way kind of almost give her a haircut, but that's alright. So you can see now our hair will go up and then back down over here, maybe even rotating it I didn't need to do. And so there's a little bit of sproing to it because it will dip down quite a bit there and then just bounce back up some. So that should look good. And she is traveling kind of quick, so what we could do is also skew the hair back like that, and that'll help to solve two problems, because now when I move it back a little bit like this, I can just kind of bring it up some, and you know, there was a little bit of an issue right here where you were kind of seeing back through to the stage. So I think now when I publish out this finished file, and of course this will be right here waiting for you guys to check out the finished SWF for this girl walking. I think that'll look pretty good, so check that out. And if you want to be even more daring, you could do some crazy things like I don't know, skewing her hair a little bit here. Just be careful that don't give her sideburns, but if you do skew it, just do it a little bit. That might add a little kind of fun bounce to the hair. Let's see, we'll try it over here too. I might be shooting myself in the foot when I do that, but if it looks good, I'll leave it in there in that finished SWF. And yeah, take a look at it, and let's take a little break, and then we'll come back with the finish, with the starting the runner file. Actually, before we start that other file, there is one thing I noticed, and what I'm going to actually do is take this finished file and just slow it down to 4 frames per second. That should match about the screen capture rate, so you guys can actually really see this thing in slow motion. And doing so, I think what you'll be able to catch in with your eye is that the line thickness on the hair gets a little bit thick, like right there, okay? And the reason for that occurring is that when you have these lines in there, and if you skew them or like scale them a little bit, they can just kind of deform like that. And there is a way to prevent that happening. What I'm going to do is just copy this hair over here. I'm going to duplicate the movie clip. So I'm going to call this top hair animated 2, and dive down inside of here. And in fact, you know what? I'm just going to take these frames out of here for right now. And then duplicate this as well. You don't have to do this on your end. I'm just kind of trying to demo this for y'all. Get a unique copy. All right, so here's that the hair moving around like so. And let's do this. Let's go and first select all these frames. And by the way, this would be your kind of last attempt at being able to change this easily. But if you know that you got it kind of bouncing like you like, hit F6 on all of these frames, all right, and then go and click this Edit Multiple Frames button. And what you'll get is these 2 handles up here. And what they're doing is they're allowing you to select, like right now I'm selecting, looks like frame 11 to frame 1 up here in the timeline. So I'm selecting all these frames at once. What I'm going to do is grab them all. And then I'm going to either go over here to select all, or I almost find it's sometimes more reliable just do like a big broad select with the mouse like that. Make sure you got every line in there, and then go to convert lines to fills. Sometimes that works out in your favor, sometimes there can be a few problems, but I think for this simple shape it should be okay. So then deselect Edit Multiple Frames, and then you can see that if we zoom in now, these line shapes, they shouldn't visually change too much, but you'll notice that if I were to hover over and try to manipulate them with the mouse like this, I'm actually editing fill artwork now, not line artwork, and that's why the line is kind of separating like that. So the good thing about that, though, is it really locks down the shape of it, so it can't get kind of deformed at all. And so, like, if I were to quickly now go and like re-put in some of those movements that I had before, let's do this. Let's see, is that working? Okay. We'll compare the two of them together in slow motion. And it's kind of hard to tell, but trust me, I know that this one is going to not reshape or do anything weird. And you can actually tell it more if I were to do something like this. Let me grab this and this together, and I'm going to make them really small. Okay. And then publish out. Let's make it even smaller. Yeah, you can tell there that the black line over here is staying true to kind of the small depth like that, whereas that shape right there, that line is still kind of like a bit thicker, you know. And you can really tell actually on lines that are kind of smushed together, like with these hands, there's still line artwork in there. They just kind of look weird. So anyway, that's not something I thought I was going to be teaching this lesson, but there it is for you. All right, let me set this back to being 30 frames. Okay. Okay, so back into here, and still with part 2. Open up the runner start file, and as soon as I get this open, actually, I'm going to save it out as a new document, which will be progress 1. Okay, and what do we have ahead? This guy is just going to be running. It's not going to be too complicated. A little bit of what we did before with a few minor changes. And in terms of this starting file, I have obviously created a few more symbols that we can just go ahead and work with and swap in and out pretty easily. Save us some time. We can just focus on the animation aspects. And what else? I did put in a few more guidelines this time, and reason being, it's going to be better to just kind of note the top of his head. Now, just sort of how far up and down he is bouncing along there. And what else? Let's see. Oh, I left this my original sort of sketch for this guy in here only because I just wanted you to take note for your own characters, if you're going to start making run cycles out of them, that his body, okay, so his like main kind of frame here is arched forward in the starting pose, and then the head is tilted kind of back that way. So it's actually like the head is staying in place, you know, forward straight like that, but the body is making that big arc now. So it's like he's lunging forward, and you got to think about it, he is running. So with that said, I think we can actually toss this guy. We don't need to see him the whole time. And I guess we are ready to begin. I think this is going to take us about 12 frames. And if I haven't already said this throughout the some of the other ones, the frames that I'm laying out here are kind of just, you know, during my little practice sessions, are just kind of what I came up with. And certainly if you want to add more or less, that's your prerogative. You know, if you think your animation would benefit from being a little bit longer, the cycle, yeah, go for it. There's no harm. It just means more in-betweens. And obviously it could make things look a little slower too, or faster. But all right, here we go. Let's begin. So this guy is obviously certainly in mid-stride right now. He's definitely at one of his higher points. We will be bringing him down when his foot starts to touch. And yeah, I guess that is our next step. So let's go and put a keyframe right here. And by the way, I'm going to just work linearly, or sequentially, I should say, through this. So not too much bouncing around, okay? Unless I make a mistake, and I hope I don't. All right, so let's actually, let's do this. Let's take this guy up just a little bit first. All right, and what we will do is tilt this arm. Obviously, you can see I already got some of these pivot points set up. And I'm going to tilt his hand back just a little bit like that. I think for this animation, it'll be kind of nice if we keep track of the just how the fist is sort of turned. So he's got a little bit of like secondary motion in his fists throughout. And let's swap out this arm right here for one that just goes a little bit straighter back. And that is actually something that I guess you could kind of argue whether or not it should be a straight arm back there or something like this. So I think either one works, but just stylistically in this animation, I'm going with a kind of straighter one in the back. All right. By the way, I just I hit the hotkey for swap symbol, which I'll probably inevitably do a few more times in this lesson. So just FYI. If you want to do it the slow way, you can always drag a part off of here, but be sure if you do that to cut it, or at least copy it and then paste it back down on this layer. Okay. Alright, but even though he's still kind of, he's going to be going up, what we'll do is we'll start to get this leg back into ready position to hit the ground. One thing I did notice as I was practicing for this is that it really helped to tint the backmost legs over here, and the reason for that is that this is a pretty quick cycle, and we're pretty much just swapping out one side of parts for the other. So for example, when we are probably at about frame 6, this same leg will be in the you know, in this position back here, similar position for this foremost leg. And the thing to watch out for is that it doesn't, you want to make it seem like you're not just kind of visually looping the same things in the same place over and over again. Otherwise it almost just makes it look like the guy's not doing much at all. Okay, you'll catch what I'm talking about if you end up doing it. But one thing that helped was just tinting it, and that way it's clear that in certain positions that is still the back leg. All right, so probably I said that the longest way possible. You know what? Actually, I want to switch out this leg with this one right here, where the foot is still kind of up like that. So it's the ball of the foot isn't like reaching out that way, or the heel, I should say. And let's do that. Let's swap that for. By the way, there's almost no rhyme or reason for the the sequence of these legs that I made. And look, I forgot to rename that one. But so you kind of just got to dig them through there. I just ended up numbering them as I created them. Okay, and another kind of secondary motion thing that we that can make this look a little bit better is if we mess around with this guy's little strap right here, and that is what that is supposed to resemble, some sort of strap for his helmet. So we'll have that start to flip back downward and then just go back this way and back like that. All right, so I think we're good to send this guy to the ground. So F6, put a keyframe right there. Oh, and one other little addition that we're going to be playing with is this little shadow down here on the ground. So let's first get this guy down this way. Curve this leg, and let's actually swap this one back out for that leg right there. Okay, and I'm gonna try to keep that the heel right on that little line. Okay, so let's see, bump, bump, and what else can we do here? Let's move this little butt region down just a little bit, and this is an easy one. We'll just take this leg and start to bring it forward. And you know what? I'm going to leave this arm back here for just a little bit longer. And I'm going to leave that arm up just a bit too. All right. So let's see. Bump, bump. And this next frame is going to be a dramatic one. So it's really going to be like, as soon as he hits the ground, that's when he's really pushing forward with it. So it's like we have that more dramatic movement when he's actually able to thrust off of the ground. You can almost think of this like a guy on a skateboard. You know, the skateboard starts to slow down a little bit until that guy, the rider, puts his foot back down on the ground, hits it, and then pushes off with it again. Alright, so I think we are good to move on. Yeah. Alright, I adjusted the strap. I kept forgetting to do that when I was working on my own. Okay, and you know what? Actually, I'm seeing a little bit too much separation right there. Let me go back one frame right here. What I think what I'll do is just move the whole body down some. Alright. And let's do this. Let's go and take another leg here. Get one that's kind of really bent. Alright. By the way, I think the scaling might be off slightly for some of these legs. So there's a couple of them, if you do swap them out like that, you might actually have to boost them up in size some. And that's because when I was creating these, I made it so the back leg was a little bit smaller, and I probably shouldn't have done that. Alright, so yeah, there we go. A little bit better. Okay. And so now I'm going to use that new position of the leg to figure out how far down the body's going to go. So I'm just going to take that down that way. And let's do this. Get that leg like so. As for this arm, let's get this other arm right here where he actually is bending it. So let's see, what is that? By the way, at the end of this, we're going to be doing some kind of what do you want to call it? Like speed line type effects to kind of throw in as just a little backdrop for this guy. And I think you'll see that it'll look pretty cool in the end. Okay, next. Oh, actually, you know what I meant to do is start to adjust this shadow a little bit. Let's just scale it just a little bit here on this next frame when the legs are coming closer together in the middle part of them. Take the shadow down a bit more, and I guess we can go ahead and do it right now. Okay. As for this leg, let's swap out another symbol. I think I have another good one here. Is that it? Now let's not do that yet because the heel is up a little bit too much. Let's go and grab. Let's see. Maybe that one. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I think I have to scale this down a tad bit. Alright. And for the body, let's start to move them up just a little bit. No, well, it probably doesn't matter. You know what? Let me see if there's a better one here. I think I might just use that same leg again. In which case, I'm going to have to bring him down some. Alright, so what are we left with? Let's move the arms. Again, if you do want to select two symbols at the same time and momentarily change the pivot point, you can do that. Which is what I'm going to do right now. And that'll go away as soon as I let go. You know what, I might actually delete out that arm for that one pose and then just send that back there. Put this back at 100%. Alright, let's thumb through this, see if there's anything might want to change. That's probably okay. Continuing on, frame 6. Hit F6. And now he's going to be really starting to boost off the ground just a bit. And for that, I could probably put him down a bit more toward the ground like that, because I am kind of indicating that the heel's just coming off the foot, but I mean coming off the ground. But I'm gonna just go ahead and put him in midair. I might even skew that foot a little bit. delete that, and let's just rotate this a little bit. These mid-stride poses don't always look too pretty. I'll admit it. I'm going to copy this this arm right here and paste it back onto this layer just to get that back there. And let me move this arm forward just a bit. I'm just moving this glove back behind him. Using my hotkeys for it, but if you want to do it the slow way, over there. I should mention that for running poses, usually you're not going to have much of a long pause at all with the foot touching off the ground like that. So it's probably good that I just went ahead and didn't do that. But when you just think about it, when you are just running, again, you're kind of boosting right here, and then just real quick getting your foot back up off the ground to cycle back around through there. So there's not a lot of this action going on like what we had with the walk cycles. It was just the foot would stay back there for a little bit and then raise up. But you know what? Let me delete that. I like this pose a little bit more. This one right here. There we go. So if it wasn't obvious, that was runner leg 5 copy. I know, not the greatest name in the world. But now that it's been recorded, it'll stay on there. And then I just distorted it with the free transform tool. Just went back like that with it. All right. And we are at frame number 7. So that is, I guess, the start of another big stride. Let's do this. Let's take this arm off of here. Actually, I could just let's swap it out for another one. And let's grab this one right here, runner arm 2, and that might flip around like that, but that's okay. Just rotate it. I did try to indicate a little bit of shoulder action going on up that way. Okay. And as for the legs, let's go and grab, I'm going to use this one right here. I'm just going to copy it off that layer. I'm going to delete this one and paste. I think this is one of these ones I need to scale up just a little bit. Let's go take it to 110. But let me thumb back a little bit to make sure that's the right move. Okay, that's good. Let's bring the whole body up some. And as for this leg right here, let's delete that one off. And we'll grab this leg, copy it, paste it out this way. I'm going to tint it to 71%. Let's see. Let me go back. I'm going to step back. I'm on frame 6 here. Let me move this back just a little bit. There we go. In fact, I'm going to rotate that some too. I want it to seem like this leg pops into this next position right here. Like that. There we go. There we go. And let's see, what hasn't changed? The strap. I'm going to do that. And the shadow. Let's kick that out some. In fact, I don't think I changed it much on this frame either, so. Okay. I think we're ready to make another keyframe. F6. I hope by the end of this lesson you guys are using those keyframes. I mean hotkeys. Using those keyframes. That would be tragic if you got 2 hours into the lesson. You only just now started using the keyframes. Alright, sorry, I threw myself off there for a second. I had to actually send my own arm back to see if I had that thumb in the correct position. Okay. Moving the wrist up some. Again, this is what I was talking about at the beginning. Just giving a little bit of secondary motion to that, to his wrists there. And hopefully somebody will see that. In fact, maybe on this one, I should take it down a little bit. Alright, so between, let's see, 6 and 7 here, what needs changing? I'm going to flip this vertically, and that is right there. And again, this is where I kind of slow things down a little bit. He's in mid-leap here. I think it looks kind of good if you just, it's almost like the easing out of a motion tween. He's done all that big motion right there, and then boom, we get a few frames, just a couple frames where he's just almost hovering for a sec, and then he will crash back down. And let's see, I think that's probably pretty good. You know what, let me rotate this arm up just a bit more. I'm going to grab both symbols at once and just... There we go. Okay. Hit F6. And let's bring this guy back down. So still using runner leg 8 there. I'm going to move this back just a little bit. I don't like how it almost looked like his belt was merging into his leg. And for this leg, let's go and use this symbol right here. So I'm going to copy that, delete that off, paste that one on. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And for this arm, let's see, let's go and grab this one right here. So I'm going to delete that off. In fact, you know what? Let's see, runner arm 3, I'm going to swap this one. I didn't abide by my own rules for creating symbols, I guess, this last time. Otherwise, swapping them out would be a little bit easier. Alright, and let's see, let me look at this. Alright, so that's coming down. Let's go and bring this arm here. And by the way, in case it isn't already obvious, the arms are still swinging opposite to the legs, so that won't change. I don't think I can think of any strides, any styles of walking where that is any different. Oh, the strap. Flip that vertically and move this down a little bit. So even this strap right here has a little bit of a almost easing out into it, because the next frame, then it's boom, drastically back down that way. Okay, and we are on frame 10. And let's do this. Let's grab... Well, let me move the whole body down a little bit first. Right there. I think I might actually take this symbol right here. I'm going to copy that off. That is runner leg 5. And delete that off. I'm going to tint this. Let's send it backwards. This leg's just going to tilt it up a little bit like that and bring it forward some. What I might want to do is actually go back a frame and do that. In fact, I could probably even rotate it back somewhat more that way. There we go. So is it? Yeah, there we go. Circling forward. Okay, let's just move these. Actually, you know what? Let's delete them off. This arm, let's go and swap it out for this one right here. Just going to copy that. You know, let me curve this arm just a little bit up this way. Just, it's going to feel a little bit more circular on this next frame if that arm is up some. I just didn't want it to seem like it was stretching too far down that way and then pulling back too sharply. I want it to look smooth. Alright, so let's see, what do we got? Boom, boom, boom. Alright, I think this is looking good. Let's see, let's move this strap. And frame 11. Let's move them up just a little bit. And let me go grab this leg. I'm going to delete this leg out. I'm going to paste this in here. Put that one back. Move this forward. I could probably swap this one out for one of these just slightly curved legs, but I'm going to see how this looks if it's almost pulled back like tight like that for 3 frames, and hopefully it'll seem like it really extends out drastically forward like this in the next frame. Might look good, might not. And well, let's see, what are we going to change here? Okay, so this arm is moving backward. In fact, you know what? Let's take both at once. Our back arm is moving forward, so let me see. I'm going to grab this right here and paste it, and then just send it backward like that. But I'm going to, there we go. I'm gonna actually flip this strap horizontally. Let's see how this is looking. Oh, what did I do wrong? Did I leave that? Did I? You know what? Oops. It looks like I rotated the wrong arm. Let me cut that off for a sec, or just move it out of the way and copy this, paste it right there, and then so I'm just switching these two arms. I knew that looked really weird. Okay. Now I'm nervous. I did that with some other stuff too. Okay, I think it's alright. And last frame, remember this frame is going to have to loop back to 1 here. So let's, actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's copy this frame and temporarily paste it out here. Frame 13, just so we can toggle forward and take a look at it. By the way, I guess I've forgotten to change the shadow shape for quite a while. So let me go ahead and do that. Actually, that can stay. Alright, so he's got to get out, back out here. So this arm will be somewhere in the middle. And, alright, let's go ahead and keyframe it first. Okay, let's move the body up to right about here. Let's take this leg and let me grab this leg right here. So I'm just going to copy this and delete this one off, paste it in place, but then rotate it, move it back. This leg, let's go and use this right here. So I'm going to copy that, delete this off, paste this. Alright. I probably have this up too high. Let me move that down. Okay, let me just move that down a little bit. In fact, there we go. You can actually move the belt up too, so if you need to. Some of those legs kind of have a tight fit right here into the base. It's kind of my fault. Okay, so let's before we even consider publishing this out, but let's save it. But let's do this. Let's thumb through this. Okay, so he's still in midair, falls down. Let me do this. Looks like there's just a little bit too little motion going on back here, this back arm. Notice they're almost identical, these two frames. But I think what we can do is just tilt this wrist, okay? And then, so it's almost like this wrist knows of where it's about to start going, which is like forward, so it's almost starting to make that turn before the arm is. That could look good. So let's see, alright. Boom, hits the ground. I think here what we could even do is squish the whole body down just a little bit. Consider it almost like it's going down just 5%. So the whole thing's coming down. It's places like this that you could probably get away with taking a body part, or like in this case, two of them, the hand and the arm, just copying them and then pasting them on top of each other. and then rotating one back and doing something like that with it. Because these go by really fast. I think if you're going to do that, and I don't always recommend it, you might want to try just alphaing it out some. So it's, and we'll see how that looks. We'll leave it in there for one. If you are using Flash 8 or above, thinking into the future by saying above, but you could go to your filters and blur it out. That might look a little bit better. But okay, let's continue on. Okay, now remember I squished him down a little bit here, so this next frame it also doesn't look like he's going anywhere at all. So let's do this. Let's go and do the same thing here. We'll just move him down a little bit. Alright, so he's coming forward. Alright, so he's pushing off. I think, you know what we could do? Maybe let's try to get away with this. Let's go and take one of our straighter legs, like this one right here, and put it right here. So at least on like one half of our cycle, he's got this leg coming out back like this, and on the other half, it won't be doing that. For example, you know, the one where the leg that's a little bit darker there, and that's good. That might actually help to break up kind of the repetitiveness of the loop too. And I'm sure many people run with a little bit of a different thing going on one side than the other, so it's not like we're being too unrealistic, and you can see it still looks fine. Okay, so moving forward, we are here, and okay, this is kind of weird, and it's just my mistake. It's notice the just watch the whole body kind of come up. So it's almost like, all right, it makes a nice little jump up there, slows down a little bit, and then it takes too much of a leap again. Okay, so it's almost like it eased out between frames 6 and 7, and then 8 is way up there. So that's something we should correct. So what we can do is just move this up. All right, so boom, comes up, and then he starts to slow down a little bit. Okay. So just things to watch out for. I think here, let's see. I might even try taking this arm and rotating it up just a little bit so it's closer to this position on frame 8 here. I don't know why. Just getting that feeling. Okay, so he's on his way back down. It's looking good. And let's deselect all those. Okay. Let me take the whole body down here. In fact, I'm going to select everything here on frame 10, just scale it down some. And again, same little issue that I had before, so I'm just going to take everything here again, do the same thing. Oh, I didn't do it enough. Alright, so let's put this to the test. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this and save it out as progress 2. So I'm going to pause my video, and on your end you should do the same thing. Pause it and be sure you are watching the SWF with a good frame rate, a nice healthy frame rate. 15 frames per second should look pretty good. So I will be back. Alright, I'm digging it. I hope you guys check that out on your end. Just real quick though, what I'm going to do is flip the frame rate down to something insanely low, like 4 frames per second, and publish this out. and we can actually watch it in semi slow motion. And yeah, I think that's looking okay. If I were to change anything, I think what I would do is change the that shoulder, just the artwork of it, just round it out a bit more. But yeah, I think this guy is running along quite well. Looks okay. And let's do this before I forget, though. Bump this back up to 15 frames per second. There we go. And let's get rid of our guide layer. So I'm just going to delete this off of here. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, I am in progress 2 now. And I'm going to copy these frames. New symbol. Call this runner. Finished. Now I'm going to paste those frames in. That's done. And let's delete this out. We no longer need anything more than 1 frame on the timeline. Let's create a new layer. I'm going to get the library back open again so I can find this guy. There he is. By the way, this is the first version I did when I was practicing, and it might look similar. Okay, so next step, let's make this a little bit more interesting. What I'm going to do is create a square. Not that that's interesting itself, but there is a swatch already in the library here, the swatch library, and what you can do is grab that and then just draw down there. Or maybe there's not. You know what? I am mistaken. There's not a swatch down there. Oh, no, wait. No, it's not. That's weird. I thought I added that. Well, that's okay. What I'll do is I'll just recreate it right now. So I'm going to go to linear, and actually, oddly enough, now that looks exactly like what I wanted. So let's do this. If your gradient ended up going from left to right as blue to black, what we want to do is go from top to bottom. So I'm going to click on the gradient transform tool. Click right there. I'm going to grab this handle right here that looks like a rotational handle and set it like that. Then I'm just going to squish it down just a little bit. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is select this, and I'm going to convert it to a symbol that is F8. What we're going to do is call this looping background. Alright. That'll probably end up in front of your character, but if it does, just cut it off of there. Let's create a new layer for this. And we'll actually label these background, paste in place, call this character. And let's, I'm sick of this background being white. Let's switch this to being something a little bit prettier looking, like pure black. Alright, so I'm going to now double click inside of here. I'm going to create another layer. What I'll do is I'll call this layer mask. That doesn't in itself make it a mask, but it's going to label it, and I'll call this gradient. And then what I'm going to do is create another couple layers right here. We'll call these speed lines. And layer names can share the same name, by the way. Alright, so for our mask, you know what, let's just do this. Let's copy this square that we already have on stage. So I'm just going to hit copy. I'm going to come up to this layer. I'm going to hit now, paste in place. I'm just going to change the color so it's, I don't know, just helpful, if it is helpful. And now I'm going to right click right here. I'm going to go to mask, and actually I probably created these layers a little bit too soon, because now what I need to do is drag each of them underneath this mask. All you do is you just click drag and then just kind of bring it right until you see something like that happening. And there we go. Alright, to see this mask in full effect, I would lock every single layer, and you can see now it kind of looks normal again. The whole point of this is that in terms of seeing this background here, visually I only want to see what is within this square or what's within the mask. Okay, so if I have stuff coming, I guess, sort of off stage relative to the background, of course. I won't see anything outside of this big purple square right here. All right, so I can motion tween some speed lines coming across this direction, and you won't see anything that is not within the mask. So again, probably too lengthy of an explanation. All right, so, oh, and by the way, when I have a mask on, what I tend to do is I always just view it as wireframe, okay? And then you can just kind of see the outline of it and the important stuff below. Okay, so do this. Grab a square, and I'm going to tint the color, or I'm just going to pick out a color that is this purple right here. And let's do this. Let's put a square here, square here, and another square back here. And by the way, I am actually drawing a square with a stroke around it. I didn't mean to do that, so I need to double click around here and take that off. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is select all three and convert them to a symbol. Let's call this speed line. Alright, you know what, actually I don't like that color as much. I want something a little bit, I don't know, just a different blue. There we go. That's a little better. Alright, so if you are using a Flash 8 or above, the thing I want you to do now is go into filters and blur these. Alright, so something like, 100 on the x-axis and maybe 30 or so on the y would look good. If you're not using Flash 8 or above, you get Flash 7 or below, double click inside of here, and first thing I would do is probably skew them a little bit like that, and then go to soften fill edges, okay, and set it to something like 30 and 15, and you'll see what that does when I click OK. It softens them out, so they just kind of repeats this same shape and slowly fades it out with a little alpha channel. So it did this 15 times. It faded it out at a distance of 30. That's what those two numbers mean. What I'm going to do is undo this, though, because I don't need both effects occurring. In fact, that'll slow things down. So here we go. Oh, you know what? Gosh, now that I think about it, might have to save out two versions of this for Flash 8 and not Flash 8. I didn't think about that, but well, we'll figure that out later. Okay, so yes, inside of our looping background, what we're going to do is put a few more frames inside of here. I'm just going to go and hit insert frame. All right, and let's just put a keyframe right here. Create a motion tween, and send this over that way. So it's moving quite quickly across there. All right, and then you can put a blank keyframe right there. Let's go and just copy this same symbol. I'm going to paste it up here. Just to change around a little bit, maybe I will flip it vertically. A hotkey for that, don't forget, is right here. And let's see, what else can we do to change it? Let's just tint it a little bit. There we go. Just a little darker, that's all. And then let's do the same thing again. Create a motion tween, send it across. Oops. That way. In fact, you know what? Let me do that. There we go. And I will just take these same frames right here, copy them, paste them. No, I'm going to add one more frame out this way. And just right here, I'm just going to probably move them down some. Okay, let's copy these frames, all of them. I'm going to lock this layer and then paste these frames down this way. If it gives you a little bit more at the tail end, just remove that off of there. And then let's hit up this edit multiple frames. So I'm going to select all those. And I am now going to go to select all. Let's see if I can adjust them. That's weird. I wonder why. Oh, never mind. What I'm going to do is just free transform, so I'm just going to scale them a little bit. I could even just move them over this way some. And what I was hoping I could do was tint them all at once like that. I don't know why it's not letting me. That's okay though. Tint. On this one, let's tint it to something much different. There we go. I guess that'll give us the impression we're speeding by something green. Let's tint this one just black. So let me view this layer with this the other speed lines invisible. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so they're just coming across. That should be fine, but with the both of them on, that should look good. Let's do this though. Let's offset them just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is move this over one frame, and then I'm going to put a keyframe right here, and then just take this frame and just move it right that way. Hit remove frames. Okay. Should look a little bit better. And let me do this. Let me take all of them. So we're going to edit every single keyframe and just gonna move them all up just a little bit. Okay. I don't want so many of them hitting the ground. And let's take a look at how this looks. And you know what I'll do is I'll set this back down to 4 frames per second again, so it doesn't look too choppy. Okay, probably pretty good. It should look alright. Faster. And let's try another little trick here. Let me copy this guy and paste him. We'll move this over there for right now. Again, if you're using Flash 8, more power to you. What we're going to do is blur him like that. I'm not going to blur him too much on the Y though. And let's do this. Let's also tint him a little bit. I'm going to tint him just a little bit like a dark blue, something like that. Okay. And then let's just move this guy right back over on top. And let's publish again. So that too will add a little bit to the speeding along effect. I think that's pretty nice. What you could do is, let's jump back into our background layer. Let's move this layer underneath everything else, and let's really quickly make, not a crazy car, but just a really quick, just give the impression of a car. How about that? So I'm just going to put a square down there, and let's see, this front part, that'll be the bumper of it. This is going to be where the window's at. Let me lock these layers. Let's see, there we go. Just a quick car and profile. We won't even give it wheels. Well, maybe we will. That's easy. We'll give it a windows though. Square, square, and there we go. That's a car. I'm going to convert it to a symbol. We'll call it car. And on this, I'm going to blur it. There we go. For this, what I'm going to do is move it all the way out this way, so obviously we're not going to see it outside of the mask for quite a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is convert it to a symbol one more time. I'll call this car animation. Then I'm going to double click inside of here. I'm going to put a bunch of frames out this way. Alright. Yeah, 80 frames should work fine, and this way we don't see it too often, because what we're going to do is just motion tween it just a little bit for about 10 frames out this way. So it should appear only about every 80 frames or so. And let's see, you can start right here, and we'll have it finish out this way. Oops. There we go. In fact, I probably have it going or taking too long to get across. Let's see. That's good. You can blank it out right here, and you could actually blank it out right here too. It doesn't really matter though. The only reason I leave it on this first frame is because it becomes incredibly difficult to select if there's no artwork showing at that first frame. Anyway, let's take a look. So here's our boy running along again, cruising through, and coming up just a little bit. There's that car. So I think it'll look good though. Certainly a higher frame rate. And you know what, other things you could do is, let's see, maybe just have a speed line or two that that aren't blurred. See how that looks. So let's take one like this. Or I should say maybe just aren't blurred as much. Something like that. You can kind of catch it back there. I think that looks okay. Alright, so do this. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to save this out as the finished file for this runner. And definitely take a look at progress too. And after I take a look at it, we will reconvene for the just the tail end of part 2 here. Okay, so what I have done is created two different files, one a finished file for 8 or up, and the other one is for 6 or 7. And this actually looks fine too. I just did the soften fill edges. You can kind of see it. It's looking pretty good. Obviously there's no blur behind this guy like there is here, and I did make one slight little change to it. I tinted this at 50%, but at a dark black. I think before I had a blue, and then on both versions what I did was added a just a fade right here, and it's kind of more obvious if I just pull this off here and show it to you guys. It's just a gradient starting from just dark black like this, oops, and then ending at an alpha at 0, but this is also a black over this way, so just 100% to 0. And what that did is I think it feels like it smoothed out some of the blurs in the background. And I thought that looked better. Just gave it a little bit more atmosphere. And the car layer, I moved above the speed lines. I thought that looked a little bit better too. And otherwise, there he is. He's looking pretty cool. And actually, one last little thing you can play with if you are using Flash 8 is to just throw a little bit of a bevel on this guy. See how that looks for you. I know that looks really not good there, but check this out. Take the highlight down to about, let's see, maybe 30% that way. Alright, take the shadow, make this a little less dark, and yeah, again, just bring this down to maybe 40%. Okay, so that smooths things out a little bit that way. The blur on this, take it up to maybe at least something above 10 on each one of these things. And as for the distance on the bevel, I think about 10 there. You can see that also too, just sort of smooths it out. And then I almost find the key thing just to be the angle on it. If you get it right, I think it looks pretty good. So let's see, something like around here or here. So the light source is still obviously coming from this one side, because that's how I set up this guy to begin with, is that he's got more light coming from the front there. And let's see, let's toggle back and forth between the two. So this is the 6 and 7 version, this is the 8 one. I think that looks good. What I'll do is I'll set this down to a 4 one more time, publish it out, and see how that bevel looks in there. I think it adds some nice depth to it. Feels like he's running definitely into some light. And oh, see, there's that car go by. It's a little bit more forward. So I think this turned out to be a pretty good one. Pretty good little run cycle. And hey, you know what? There's a million different ways you could have somebody run. So don't forget that. There's no right way. There's wrong ways, but there's no right ways. How about that? I'll leave you with that until part 3 is coming up shortly.